When I first met Paul, even when we were in our first band in like 2006 or 7 or wherever it was, he still gave me a bunch of MP3s and folders, like probably eight albums worth of material. Like,
I have
20 years ago,
songs.
like eight. So like, I genuinely think
anybody
like,
wants any songs,
even Cory, myself, Cory's in this game.
Get your songs here.
Don't give your songs away. Sell them.
Do people buy songs?
No.
Is that a thing? I don't think so.
Well,
no,
people do, but
that's why we're selling art. Which
in
is
fact,
at the bottom of the screen, so you can feed Paul.
Can't even get people to take your songs most of the
Feedpaul.com.
time. Can you just listen to it for free?
I know.
Head on down to Nashville, Paul, and just start standing on the corner and see what happens.
Songs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, back again. I'm Siobhán Cronin here with, as always, Benny Goodman and Cory Peza. How's it going, guys?
It's going great.
Backstreet.
I'm representing my Star
All right.
shirt, by the way.
I know, I see that. Yeah.
It's getting pretty ratty, though. I need a new one.
Yeah, well.
I still have not got my sweatshirt because
Ben
my
has been
first
on
one
my
shrunk.
case.
And I've also requested other signed things. Like, man, like you've made me.
I'm pretty sure I
requesting
drunkenly
signed
bought
things.
this at a show like 5 years ago.
I bought one on a show too, and it shrunk. I wore it once, and it's too small for me, and I'm less than a medium.
Yeah, and speaking of buying things, you guys should all go to 2020-d.com and buy a shirt with our faces on it. Or go to lostsymphony.com and buy all sorts of cool things, including music and merch and things like that. And the best part is you get to hear our guest this week.
Yeah.
And see his artwork. The art of us, all the cartoons you've seen of Richard Shaw, you've seen of David Abraziz, of us, Ernie Bach.
The pictures that you see right now on your screen.
The cartoons.
Yeah, the crazy things.
That you see all over the podcast.
So if you haven't put the two together, he also plays drums for Lost Symphony.
Paul Lourenco.
Paul Lourenco is playing the drums for Lost Symphony, but also crazy artist, also fucking hilarious, also kind of curmudgeonly, and has the cutest cat in the entire fucking world that was created as an abomination of the DNA assortment.
Who will make an appearance on the video cast, so you got to check it out.
To really demonetize us.
Yeah. So here's our second hour. If you haven't checked it out, the first hour with our previous episode.
I hope it's longer than that in this case. I normally hope it's over really fast, but this one I hope is longer.
Yeah, these are good. Episode number 50 was the previous one. So we're 50 episodes in. This is the 51st episode. And this is our second hour with Paul Lourenco. Such a good time. Check it out.
Subscribe at 2020-d.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2020. My name is Benny Goodman. I'm here with my cohorts in crime, Siobhán Cronin.
Hello.
And my good friend and compatriot, Cory Peza.
A compatriot cohort.
A cohort of compatriotism.
Thank you. Glad
Compatriotism. Anti-disestablishmentarianistic.
Super callous something.
And then of course, hold on. Without further ado, I'm very excited because the reason we did this whole show in the first place, and you might not have even heard it yet because like we're just catching on, like whatever, fuck you. Like we're cool. Like listen to us. Hope that's the greatest endorsement, right? But we're in a band because we've had to pivot. This is what
somebody
we call
saying that they're cool is the greatest endorsement.
We have to
self-proclaimed.
We have to do what they call in corporate life a pivot, which basically means that like stop doing what you love and like Ivanka Trump said, like just do something else. So we're here. Hi, we're here. Siobhán, who is classically trained, she's here. Paul could have been at a bank somewhere, but instead he's here. So like we're going to make a podcast, but we were in a band and now we're still in a band, but we were in a band, but we're still in a band. Yeah. No, Paul was in bands.
I still do drugs.
Yeah, but fuck you and your Mitch Hedberg catch-ons. The point is we're in a band called Lost Symphony, lostsymphony.com. And this is the first time, technically the second time, but like 2 episodes is really just us hanging out over one night. If you haven't figured it out, the suspension of disbelief. Like somebody actually watched our Lost Symphony live performance live at Slay at Home for Metal Injection, which we thank Metal Injection profusely for. But like someone said, this isn't live. And there's like literally,
we
didn't
say it was.
a fucking partridge. There's a partridge family like view of like 8 Siobhans, like all playing different strings. And I'm like, did you think that there was Oompa Loompas for fucking string players just playing?
That's really funny you said that because I literally didn't even think about that. I was like, I did not. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I love that.
There was a lot of me in that.
That's a criticism. Like, hey, this isn't live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, like, well, how did that help anybody here? That's my question. Like, what were you trying to accomplish with
I wish
statement?
that Motley Crue wasn't live. You know what I mean? Like, I really wish. 'Cause, like, we played Skid Row, and, like, I think it was good. But, like, I don't know if I'd want it to be live now. Like, maybe, but, like, we played it in the original key. I'm not sure I'd want to hear Sebastian Bach sing it in that key. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I know that Vince Neil certainly can't sing Livewire anymore. So don't. I'm kind of glad that. I'm glad and I'm sad that the stadium tour with Motley Crue didn't happen because I thought it was going to be the biggest like shitstorm ever. Like, you know, it would be the water world of tours. You know what I mean? Like people are going to go and they're going to realize like the hardcore Motley Crue fans will love them no matter what. But the people that are on because they like Journey are going to be like, what the fuck is this shit? And there's no way to sugarcoat the fact that they're not that good.
No,
Ben, have you introduced our guest yet? Did I just blank on that?
Paul Lourenco.
So for everyone who's stuck around for all of that bullshit in the first 5 minutes, we're back for part 2 with Paul Lourenco.
Get ready for more bullshit.
The drummer, musician who's part of Lost Symphony. Yeah, back to Paul.
Paul,
I'm totally with you about
I'll quote your second favorite, Paul. David Lee Roth. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. So what do you think about me?
Okay.
Or actually, my second favorite David Lee Roth one is, why do now what you can do later today?
David Lee Roth, always full of wisdom.
Well, so Paul, in the last episode, we kind of talked a lot about your musical background, how you met Ben a little bit, some of your involvement in different bands. But I want to start this one off by talking about the fact that you're an amazing artist.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot of art for us. Obviously, everyone that's watching, 2020.
Can we explain what kind of art that is? Like actual,
Yeah.
like paintings, like the pictures of us, like the cartoons.
Right there.
Yeah,
like logo.
Not just like he's an artist. He like wears a sash and like walks into a room with swagger. Like, I mean, like actually, draws things. And in fact,
but I mean, people just have to, let's show them some of it. Can we?
Well, we're going to have Cory superimpose it, and we're going to do a Shopify link because Paul, like every drummer, especially in this every musician, everyone that works live, anything, bars, anything after dark, people have to get drunk, are getting fucked right now with what's going on. And I'm not saying anything politically. I'm just saying you're getting fucked. It sucks. Like, we're all getting fucked and not in a fun way. So we have to pivot.
Well, yeah.
Now,
Paul, how many days a week did you play out?
I would usually play at least once a week, sometimes 2-3 times a week, depending on the week.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
But it was definitely at the end of the month it added up.
What's your normal job, Paul? So everyone knows.
Oh, well, I did work at a bank, and now I work at a music store, and I'm going back to the bank. And
so wait, those gigs are important, is what I'm saying, right?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I had been working a day job and then doing gigs at night, but then when the gigs disappeared, now I have to try to work 2 day jobs and hope that I still have time to sleep and play music and make art, and I don't know.
The things that people don't realize is that Paul, when he used to work at a bank, and I'm sure, am I allowed to say this? Like when you on the back of your bank slips, you would draw something like this, like this crazy moon. And this is a very simple one, but he does a lot of surrealistic stuff, which you can go to the store that you'll see a link below. But for years, just like you have recordings probably since 1987, Paul has tens of thousands of pictures printed, like originals, all this. And I finally, like one day, he came over with the originals because I had seen his pictures. I'm like, holy shit. So I have a whole hallway filled with his art. And every single time anyone comes in my house, I have 160 guitars. I have signed records. I have all this it's like mental fucking stimulus overload. They always walk down the hall and go, what's this? And they start looking at all of Paul's art. And the thing that's cool about it is it's surreal. Like, and Paul will tell you it means nothing, but you can't look at the art and not think it means something. Cause like there's cats, hanging out in a tree upside down with like clocks going the wrong way and all that. And everyone since the dawn of time has asked him, other than t-shirts for bands, can I buy that art? And Paul's literally the worst business person in history. The worst.
Along with a lot of musicians. We all are.
So the point I'm getting, a long-winded point I'm getting to is that I'm helping him, like myself, I'm helping him create a Shopify so that we can feed the drummer with his amazing art, because I'm sick of people putting out these virtual tip jars and playing their shitty music online. Fucking pivot, like Ivanka said. Sell your art that you've been making on other people's time on the back of bank slips for years, and sell it online for fucking awesome money because it's good. It's really good.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And it's funny, obviously, Paul, you did our cartoon characters that are somewhere in this video. And there's a t-shirt available at 2020.com, 2020-d.com.
Wait, do you have a cartoon you could give us a view for free so we don't have to pay you? So you can just like give it to us? like they do in the industry. We'll give you exposure. So we can put it at the beginning of this.
If you've taught me anything, Ben, it's that I should get paid for everything.
But don't you already? I can just take a picture of the one that I own on the.
It's for him, and then
regardless, the point being, if you go to 2020-d.com, you can actually buy a t-shirt with Siobhán, Ben, and myself on it. And I've met people that have done that, and it's creepy as fuck.
Isn't your wife?
Yes. Yeah. And my parents and a few friends as well. And
that's great.
And thank you for supporting the show.
Worked.
Yes, thank you.
Please never wear it in front of me. As cool of a picture it is, it's super weird. But it's a very cool drawing. I like it.
But what I'm trying to tell you is, with Paul, he's so talented. He plays guitar very well. He plays drums better than anyone that I know. He really gets it. But what he doesn't get is how to make money at all with any of his skills at all. And so I tell him I'm going to help him make a store that you can see the link on the bottom to buy the stuff. He calls me up and he's like, dude, I'm not going to run a business. I can't run a business. I got to go work this up. I don't need you to run a business. I literally don't want you to do anything other than provide your skills and then fuck off. And like he's like trying to tell me to not help him. Like, I'm willing to devote my time. Come on, my Friday night. Like, dude, don't even bother. Like, this is all over for me.
No, this is a common thread among a lot of creative people. I mean, I suffer from a lot of the same stuff too, like not wanting to flog your own thing or saying like, oh, look at how I'm so great at this thing. Because that's just part of like your mind as a creative person, is that you're constantly like self-critical and like not wanting to like say, oh, I'm better than this other thing. I mean, that's right. That's a humility thing, Yeah. It's hard.
Ben doesn't understand that. That does not compute.
What is that? Humility? What does that even mean?
He's ashamed of me. He's shaking his head at me.
What is this you speak of?
So one of my mentors very early on said, when somebody's asked you, you say yes. Like if they want to give you something, just say yes. and I'm like, that's a great
candy?
thing.
Would you like some cocaine?
Listen. And I said yes.
Among many other things.
And I said yes, and it was a good night. The first night. It was the sixth weekend that wasn't so good.
Yeah.
Wait, so what was the punchline of this story?
There was nothing.
Yes?
That's the punchline. There's nothing.
That Ben said yes to
it's a long joke that ends with nothing. We leave you nothing. There's no pudding.
So, Paul, how long have you been drawing and creating these works?
Pretty much since I was a little kid. Like everybody else, started out drawing Garfield and stuff like that, and Kiss, of course, because
Yeah, but not everyone gets good though. So how did you?
How good were you at imitating Jim Davis? How good is your Garfield? Like if I had to hold a gun against your head and said, "Draw Jim Davis, 1979, first fucking Garfield," like because Garfield looked different.
I've always been bad at copying stuff for whatever reason. Okay. Like some people are like, "Oh, I can look at something and draw it," but I can't come up with something out of my head. I'm completely the opposite. Like
It's
I
like
can
reading music versus hearing it and being able to play by
Totally.
ear.
Yeah, and
You know
it's
what
the
I mean?
same with music, honestly. I can write a song way easier than I can learn a song. Any of the songs that I've learned, I learned from watching YouTube, or it just kind of accidentally I played it one day or something like that, because my ear, like, I can't hear something and be like, oh, that's this chord. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work that way. But I can
Siobhan's like,
write.
do not compute. Can't understand. How do you not hear the sixth?
It's all,
I'm the opposite. Yeah.
It's all magic to me. It all just kind of happens, you know. You just wiggle your fingers, and magic happens. I don't know what any of it means.
That's great though. No, I think that's probably why you're such a good artist and a good drummer, is like you're not in the box of the limitations of like what are the rules. That's like my biggest downfall in a lot of ways from classical training is put anything in front of me and I'll be able to decode it and figure out how to play it one way or another. But give me a blank canvas to like write something and I have like debilitating anxiety.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just introduced to the idea of outsider art and like outsider music and stuff like that, and the concept of like, have you guys heard of that?
No, I was going to
before?
ask, what is outsider?
So it's
she's not part of Gen Pop.
Anybody who
I'm never going to live.
I learned these things from the internet, you know. But it's outsider art is like art created by people who weren't trained or like aren't, you know.
So like, Gen Pop,
like
necessarily artists, you know what I mean?
That seems very weird to me, because I think art, like music, there's
anybody can do
what
it,
is
right?
that? Yeah,
and it is,
exactly.
it's everybody is. That's what I thought too.
Why did it?
Because
I am
outside? Apparently
that sounds like something that
Apparently.
someone from Berkeley came up with.
Yeah, right. Like apparently, I am an outsider artist and an outsider musician, even to a certain extent, because I'm self-taught and I don't have any theory behind anything.
That's bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
But in a way, like outsider music. Like outsider music is more like people like playing a guitar who have no idea how to play a guitar. Like David Lynch does some stuff and he doesn't like play the guitar like people play the guitar, but he plays it the way someone who has no idea how to play guitar would play it. I haven't actually listened to any of it, but because it's David Lynch, I have faith that it's brilliant. But there's other stuff that I've heard, like if you go on YouTube, there's videos about this, you know, whole movement of outsider music.
This people that suck. They're just like,
yes,
no, I'm an outsider.
That's the whole thing. Yep. They're like, no, it's not that I don't want to learn how to play.
But then I just decided to give myself this classification.
Right.
And probably are doing better than we are.
Yeah.
And selling records.
Totally.
Well, set the bar low. You know what I mean? Under promise and overachieve. So just call yourself an outsider. So when you play like Green Day, they think you're goddamn savant.
Right.
Bro, how did you figure out how to make, what is that chord? I think they call it a bar chord in the people that read good world. Well, you did that, dude.
Have you ever seen those guys that like perform with like a pile of like junk and stuff on a table and like a snare drum? And
I was just going to say, I've seen this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. That's outsider music and, you know,
interesting.
That whole avant-garde
but
kind
hold
of
on,
thing.
if anyone looks at your art, and I hope that Cory does a really cool like montage that Paul can then, you know,
Cory's
use for his
brain
website.
is like more work.
But hold on, but like if you look at his art, like there's such a unique style to it. There's such a specific cartoon-esque style to it. It's very surreal. The thing I like about it is, so I'll just grab something because I have so much random art. You really never know. Like with this moon.
Am I the only one not wearing sweatpants?
well, I'm just saying with your art, like if you get anything from, here's a perfect example. Wait, what does this mean? You guys interpret this to me, okay? This is Paul's art, okay? I have it on my wall. I think that this is fucking brilliant. Now, for
it's like
people
kind of futuristic. Like,
do you want to talk about what this looks like, Cory or Siobhan, to the other people listening?
So it's definitely it's chaos. No, it's got like a very who's that dude? Who's the melty clock dude?
Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali.
Yeah.
But hold on, can we tell him what it is? It's like a guy.
Yeah. So for anyone not looking, it's sort of like like a record player with the head is like a record player.
Yeah, it's a guy with a record player, old fashioned record player sort of head for a head, and he's holding a guitar that's like floppy. It's like a soft.
Oh my gosh, I thought it was a
soft
fish.
guitar, if you will. Like Salvador Dali called them soft clocks.
Yeah,
right.
So
Okay,
that would be
guitar.
a soft guitar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely guitar. I see it now.
The point is like, but think about like what that could mean. Like, okay, so it's a record player that's playing, but then he can play a record, but he can't play an actual instrument. Like, what is that? There's so
the record
many.
player is crying too for some reason.
Yeah, it's crying for some reason. So like, so
Well,
everybody's
he's probably sad. He's sad about his
But
guitar.
it's brilliant because it leaves you with so many questions. Like,
No,
and
and
it
that's
could
what's
mean,
amazing. But so, if you sit down to do a piece of art, like, does it just like happen? Do you have an idea? Like, you get an image in your head? Like, I'm so curious. Like, where does that idea come from?
So
I would never think of that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that I don't think of them really either. It's generally I start drawing and it just kind of happens as it happens. Usually,
happy
if I have a
accidents.
concept,
Are they happy accidents?
Yeah. Usually, if I have an idea in my head, I don't like the way it comes out because it never turns out as good as the idea in my head.
That you just do, yeah.
Right.
How often, since you're doing kind of a stream of consciousness type of drawing, like do you run into a wall and crumple it up and throw it away?
I don't know. I do a lot of erasing.
Okay.
So I generally...
He's too cheap to throw it away, Cory.
Yeah.
Paper's
I work
expensive.
the way the comic book artists work. They generally do everything in pencil first, and then they go over it with the ink, and then they go over with the color.
So you're just a tracer.
Yeah, I'm a tracer.
Of his own thing.
But I
now.
trace my own lines. So.
No, I just pulled up and I saw this one the other day. Oh, you can't really see it on the thing.
there
There you
it
go.
is.
Yeah,
Beautiful. I saw this one. I was
thank
like,
you.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, see, like that one, I had no idea what that was going to be. I just started kind of like...
But couldn't it
drawing
mean so
shapes
much like you're in a relationship
could.
that's synergistic, but then there's a
Yeah.
hole in it somehow, but yet the world outside.
Yeah, and,
I
like,
look
the
at all
whole-
those and I go,
don't
that.
know. I was just like,
So,
I'll just draw a
this-
crack
Would you
over
think
here.
it was Paul that goes, that means nothing, or would you think that guy's brilliant?
So
Like,
this
he's
is
Banksy?
where I think that, and this is where my this is why I don't consider myself like a art connoisseur, because what Paul's saying, I get. He's like, I'm just drawing shit. It's happening. And then there's people like Ben. They're like, no, what it is it means this, and it really represents. And that's like the entire art industry.
Right.
Was
And
that your
it blows
imitation,
my
Cory?
mind.
Did it come out finally?
No,
You're
it totally
46
is.
episodes in.
Right. Well, I mean, it's what you sounded like. No,
And that's the great thing about art is that anybody can take out of
Right.
it what they want it to be, and it could mean a million different things to a million different people. That's one of the things that I love about David Lynch is that he doesn't like to explain his movies, even though they're the craziest, most nonsensical things you can imagine, because it means so many different things to so many different people, and explaining it just kind of takes the mystery and magic out of it.
it's how a lot of songwriters are with lyrics too, and
That too.
It's
Same thing.
And then there's definitely lyricists that are like, no, I picked that word because it rhymed with it,
Right.
and then
right.
someone's like, yeah, but that changed my life, and they're like,
Exactly. And you're
I-
like, I'm
I-
glad.
yeah,
But it just rhymes.
yeah,
It's like that footage of the guy that showed up at John Lennon's house.
yeah, yep.
And he's like, no, but you were singing that song to me. And he's like, no, man, they're just words. He's like, I just wrote a song and sang it, and I'm glad it meant something to you, but I wasn't writing it about you.
Yeah.
But that's great
Wow.
that can move somebody to that point, you know what I mean? That they think that it's written for them, you know? I mean,
Do you think that's why Yoko screamed like she does?
probably.
Like, cause my favorite thing ever with John Lennon was when he's at the Rolling Stones circus and he's on stage and he's playing with like Chuck Berry. And he's playing with like, I want to say some of the guys from the Rolling Stones, and they're fucking rocking, dude. Because like, I mean, it's their prime of the Beatles and the Stones, and Chuck Berry's like just created rock and roll before he peed on a bunch of people. And all of a sudden, Yoko Ono comes in and she's like, ah! Does her fucking Yoko Ono like absolutely unlistenable, shrieky shit. And Chuck Berry literally looks to John Lennon like, yo, dude, get your bitch under fucking control. It was the best. It was the best. And this was in the 50s.
Yeah, if
60s,
you have not
60s.
seen it, look it up.
I have not. I have to watch it.
Bill Burr, and look it up with
and
the
I was
Bill
going to
Burr
say,
commentary.
yes, exactly.
Oh, does Bill Burr talk about it? I love Bill Burr.
Don't even watch the original video. Just search
Yeah.
Bill Burr, Yoko Ono, and it is the single greatest.
I'm
like,
gonna
Wait,
like,
Bill
this
Burr
up for
talks
later.
about that? I love Bill Burr.
yeah, you definitely know that it's one of his like bigger like YouTube video things.
Oh, yeah.
I've
Totally.
seen Bill Burr since like 1903, so like, I mean, I could have internal. But I also remember watching the Rolling Stone Circus, which is a fucking phenomenal thing and thinking that the first time I saw it, because anybody, like, and Bill Burr, I'm sure, articulated it fucking phenomenally.
Yeah, if you watch Bill Burr's thing, you'll be amused. If you watch the actual video, you'll be horrified and angry. So I recommend to get the full experience, just watch Bill Burr's version of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, why don't you just shut off this program and just go watch Bill Burr?
Yeah, just,
you know. We'll wait.
It's way better. Cool.
We'll hang out here for 5-6 minutes in silence.
In fact, why don't you put it on right now? We should put that in one of the squares. We'll all watch Bill Burr together.
Yeah, we should, just quietly. But we already didn't monetize it because your ball bag cat is just floating around, putting its anus in everyone's face. So like, we might as well just copyright infringe while we're at it.
Now it's shy. It does not look like a cat from that angle.
Dude, it's from the island of Dr. Moreau. Literally, dude, listen to Harvey Levin, okay? Just adopt an animal. Don't get a Sphinx. You're a douchebag.
Yeah.
If you're going and spending $3,000 on an animal when there are animals literally begging to be at a house, beautiful animals, maybe even like animals that are Sphinxes, but they've been abused or what, help them. Don't create fucking amalgamations of genetics that are literally monstrosities to DNA. That's more like RNA, DNA, and some other shit mixed together, and then you got a cat that's kind of a cat, but like, Paul, that cat ain't like no cat. And I love Blizzard, but he is not a cat.
He's very majestic looking.
So majestic.
That is a very majestic. Like, he's posing right now. Yeah, if you guys are just listening right now, make sure
Cats
you
don't do that.
Check out the YouTube video because this cat is amazing.
I have to get a stuffed cat to do that. Like,
He's
my
got
cat won't do that.
personality.
Well, so Paul, to go back to your art real quick. So, you've obviously developed a style. So how you said, you just kind of do it. You don't necessarily think in advance of some of your creations, but how did you like refine a style? Because there are consistencies among all of your pieces that you've done. There's
definitely certain elements that recur in a lot of my drawings, but I feel like every kind of art, you just kind of take little pieces of things that you like from different people and kind of try to merge them into what you're doing, and jam things together and combine this element from this thing and this element from that. And it's a lot of, I've always loved Salvador Dali and H.R. Giger, and like there's so many artists, but then like comic book art and anime, and like even things like, movies like Nightmare Before Christmas, and all of Tim Burton's artwork is amazing. And
what is it
even
about? Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Like the surreal aspect of it. Like, what is it that like draws you to that?
I just like the freedom, I guess, of just kind of being able to try to draw any weird random combination of things that I can and try to make it work, or try to make it like turn into something else, or, and like I was saying about it meaning different things to different people, like, like you said about the crack with the hole in the, representing something in a relationship or something like that. But literally, like, I was just like, oh, maybe I'll draw a crack over here. And like,
that's what I say. But it's like, you're drumming on Lost Symphony, because a lot of people have sat down with me and been like, dude, you're like, especially drummers, dude, the drumming, like, especially like on this song, like you're doing 13/8, and
drummers get crazy, man.
No, they get crazy, dude, and they analyze your shit. I'm like, do you realize Paul just came down?
Was as crazy as some
he
of
was
these
upset
drummers.
that morning because he got called into work, like to fucking work at a music store. Came down, played the drums in like 43 minutes. I sent those to Cory. He used the 4th track and fixed one bass note, and that was it. And like, that's all you do. Like, and people are like, there's nothing more to it. No, he just fucking played the best drums the first time, like your art. And that's what I think is crazy, because I listen to your drums and I go, that's fucking brilliant. But to be able to like have a subconscious that's so deep, and yet your consciousness is so shallow. It's fucking amazing.
That's the trick. That's
you
the
got
joy.
it.
That's the joy
but
of being
nothing else.
It's the joy of being a Gemini. I'm a walking contradiction. Cory knows.
Do I?
No, you don't?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
you do. You don't buy into the Gemini just stuff.
People find meaning and stuff. I'm happy for them.
Oh, don't you know that Cory doesn't believe in anything?
It's all what it
Cory
means
doesn't
to
believe
you,
in anything that's even remotely supernatural to do with any pseudoscience.
You know, I don't feel like I believe in it. I just feel like I like using it as an excuse to be flaky because I'm super flaky.
Dude, whenever Mercury's in retrograde, it's the fucking best time because anytime something fucked up happens, I'm just like, bro, Mercury is in retrograde.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's like, or maybe life sucks. There's no punchline.
Oh my gosh.
I'm weirdly on like the edge. Like obviously, you know, I like art and music, but I'm also super anti bullshit. Like, and I don't mean that as like an offensive thing. I just like if my own personal, like if I think something's disingenuous, I'm super against that. So
I'm totally with you.
That is actually kind of maybe I am a Gemini contradiction. Because I think that like you know that art and stuff like that does mean something to people, but to me, I think if I see artwork I like, it's because that looks cool. I like that. And then if someone standing next to me is looking at that and goes, oh, that's a message on society, and I get how it's the affluence versus, and I go, it
almost ruins it for you.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Right, it almost ruins it for you. I'm the same way. I'm like, you know what? It's not about what you have to say about it or what you think it means or even what I think it means. It's really about the feeling that you get when you look at it and how it makes you feel and how it makes you react. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Does it make you feel something? Anything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Paul, I feel like knowing you, I can sum up how you feel about it in like the Van Halen, Van Hagar scenario. Because David Lee Roth, tell me if I'm right, David Lee Roth was the real deal. He wasn't a good singer. In fact, Ted Templeman even said back before they even made Van Halen 1, maybe we should get this guy from Montrose. Like, it's a true story. Yep. They were going to ask Sammy. But instead, they're like, they have a really good chemistry. Like, that guy's cool. He's got a six-pack. He's got, like, the nice fucking hair thing going on. He fucks all the guys' girlfriends. And he believes when he's saying, give me something to write on. He literally was probably saying to Ted Templeman, like, some girl's asking for his number. He's like, give me something to write on. And Eddie was like, dude, keep that. Like, and that's what made Van Halen cool, because they were a party rock band with this amazing drummer, this amazing bass player, this incredible guitar player doing crazy shit, but they're a party band. Then when Sammy Hagar came in, it was a corporate decision. Because Sammy Hagar had already made money. He came off a tour, dude. He was already almost as big as Van Halen with Can't Drive 55 and all the fucking shit that was going. Like, he was huge. He was the Red Rocker. So when he got a call from Eddie, he was like, no, dude, I don't want to be back on the road, because he was already making tons of money. So when he joined the band, everyone's like, oh, man. That's kind of like, you know, if you put Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior together when they're not really friends, that's fucking weird. So, like, they're on stage. The Red Rocker's not even playing guitar anymore because you got Eddie Van Halen over there, and they make corporate rock. While Eddie Van Halen thinks to himself, this guy can actually sing. So even though I wrote Right Now in 1983, I'll fucking play it with this corporate dude because he can fucking pull off my shit. But to you, you're like, fuck that shit. I don't want to hear synthesizers. The only synthesizer I want is at the beginning of the album before 1984 starts, and then it's fucking just straight shred awesomeness until I'll wait, but then that's Eddie playing on the fucking synthesizer, but not along with just Sammy doing his fucking lame power ballads. Am I right? The corporate America versus David Lee Roth believes what he's saying on those records versus Sammy Hagar's writing what people need to hear to get a hit.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I'm a Dave guy, and I love Sammy, and I feel bad, I don't want to diss the guy or anything. He wrote some amazing songs.
How about in 2021? What's your opinion on both those characters there?
Oh yeah, well, we've had debates about
like
this
in
now.
Modern times.
Yeah. I call Paul about this all the time.
Honestly, at this point, neither one of them is doing anything spectacular. Let's face it.
You don't think Sammy's pretty good for 72? I think he sounds great.
Well, yeah, he's pretty good for 72, but I mean, I don't know. Even when I saw him back, when they did the Sam and Dave tour, I was like,
there. I saw that. Yep.
I was like, I don't know. He looked like somebody's weird aunt with giant shirts and hair, and just
but he sounds good. Is the point?
Yeah, no, he sounded all right, but he looks horrible.
Vince Neil looks horrible and sounds horrible.
And then David Lee Roth looked great, but he sounded, But honestly, he wasn't bad, and he could still do those little screams.
He wasn't bad till 2007. That's when it all started going to hell. When we first saw him, I remember Paul. I have it on my wall somewhere, but we went and saw them on Halloween, like the night before Halloween in Madison Square Garden. And I was
not Madison Square Garden.
No, excuse me, the Boston Garden. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Boston Garden.
And I don't know, some chick flaked on me or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I gotta take Paul. Like, Paul loves Van Halen. Like, I want to go with someone who appreciates Van Halen. Fuck these people that don't know Van Halen. And Paul came with me, and we like had tears. I had tears in my eyes. Paul was just like, "This is really good." But David Lee Roth sounded pretty fucking good. Like he was good enough. Eddie Van Halen on stage with Alex Van Halen and David Lee Roth just doing anything was good enough then that we didn't. I wasn't upset until 2000, maybe 10 was when I realized like I was being duped by David Lee Roth.
You should only be allowed to cry at Sammy Hagar era Van Halen. Never cry with Dave. Never let Dave see you cry. He didn't write any songs that made anybody cry.
But when Steven Tyler said, "You see me crying," you remember that one? Toys. Yep. Is that the song you don't listen to on Toys in the Attic?
No, I like that song.
You like that one?
I don't listen to it because it makes me sad. That's a sad song. It's very good, but it's very sad.
Yeah. Well, so Steven Tyler can do sad, but not Sammy Hagar.
Well, he could do sad until 1988 or something like that, and then when he started actually like, when his sad songs became popular is when they started being terrible, in my opinion.
So like Jamie's Got a Gun.
Jamie's Got a Gun is good. That's a good one. Angel is still pretty good, but anything after that.
How about What It Takes?
What It Takes is good.
Okay.
But Crazy Amazing Crying is
okay. You don't like Get a Grip. Awful. You like 87, 88. It's 93. But
I like Living on the Edge is okay.
Okay,
it's
but
funny. I'm trying to figure out the threshold here.
Like it's a very fine line.
Yeah.
But generally, I draw the line at no pun intended. I draw the line at Dude Looks Like a Lady. That's where I kind of like.
That's 88. Okay, so you didn't like that song.
Yeah, like they started putting out songs that sucked. Before that, there was no songs that sucked. Every Aerosmith song was awesome on every album.
So what's your criteria? Is it lyrical, melodic, or just production wise?
I don't know. It's kind of like I was saying about art. It's just kind of like how it makes you feel,
just the way it hits you. Yeah.
And it's probably a bit of what we were saying about being disingenuous, and just something feeling genuine or feeling forced. And it's like a lot of these bands, when they start making $1 million and a million hits, that's great. And they're making money and all that. But it's like the songs just don't resonate with me because it's like they're just churning them out to make money or to be a certain way.
Or
and
to
they're
get
like
radio
forcing
play.
it.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily work with Aerosmith, but there's also the whole thing where, a band's first record and their early work is 10, 15 years in the making.
Worked on forever.
And then, they get success and it's like, shit, we got to follow up. And now you have this like mad dash to recapture the magic.
Right. You have 1 year to write 10 years worth of material.
Exactly.
And it's like, there's always, there's a lot of bands with the sophomore effort.
When I first met Paul, even when we were in our first band in like 2006 or 7 or wherever it was, he still gave me a bunch of MP3s and folders, like probably eight albums worth of material. Like,
I have
20 years ago, songs. Like eight. So like, I genuinely think.
Anybody wants any songs?
Even Cory, Cory's in this game.
Get your songs here.
Don't give your songs away. Sell them.
Do people buy songs?
No.
Is that a thing? I don't think so.
Well,
no,
people do, but
that's why we're selling art. We're at the bottom of the screen, so you can feed Paul.
Can't even get people to take your songs most of the time.
Feedpaul.com.
Can you just listen to it for free?
I know.
Head on down to Nashville, Paul, and just start standing on the corner and see what happens.
Songs. Get your songs.
Someone's gonna be like, dude, you sell bongs? Like, nah, man.
Songs? What's that? Sarongs? No. Yeah, no. I mean, it's the same with the art. I don't know. I just keep fucking piling them up. Whatever. We're gonna sell it. The joy is in the making. The joy is in the making of the art and the writing of the song. You know what I mean? It's that's where I have fun.
I'm doing an intervention because literally every one of your friends, I know this, every one of them that's listening is like, dude, I wish I had some of Paul's art other than just fucking getting a calendar that no one fucking uses a calendar anymore. You fucking great business idea. Let's make a calendar when everyone has one on their iPhone.
It's not a new idea. I've been making them since the 90s.
No, I know. And in the 90s, people use calendars along with Rolodexes.
Well, what am I going to do? Make an iPhone? I can't make an iPhone.
I know. That's why we're making a Shopify. We're making a Shopify so people can actually pay. Like, I went on to Etsy and I saw this digital download $20. Holy shit! Could you imagine?
Oh yeah,
Paul,
easily.
sold his calendars for $20 and didn't even realize that the shipping was half of that. So he paid people $10.
No, it wasn't that much. They were only like $2 to ship. I still made $8. I know. I should have said. Plus
He's the worst.
shipping.
But here's the thing: we're trying to sell his art. Right? We're trying to sell his art. His art, like one page at 11 by 17, should be at least a $40 thing. And I'm saying that for all artists out there because look at all the stuff I have around. I'm your customer. I literally bought all of his stuff, and I believe in it. And it's sad that I have to literally call Paul and tell him, "Listen, man, I know times are tough. COVID sucks. You're not able to gig." You have $1 million worth of artwork that you've done for the last 73 years of your existence, you vampire. Why don't you sell some of it? Why would I try to make money with my talents? It's useless. It's futile.
No, I just feel like nobody's,
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
No one cares about you.
Nobody wants my crap.
They do though. They do. And that's the glorious thing.
He got robbed at gunpoint, and he realized he didn't even fear for his life because he knew that they didn't care about him enough. They even tried to hurt him. Can you tell us that story, Paul?
No.
So yeah, I was working, and a guy came in, and he started yelling. And he was wearing a motorcycle helmet, and he had a gun, and he said, "Give me all your money," and I gave him all my money. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
You told me you were like,
I know,
first off, you hated
all
it
animated. And
didn't someone get mad at you for your shirt? Like,
oh yeah, that was a different story, but yeah, I know it was.
So you hated the fucking bank. So like when the guy you told me the story, and we'll leave it. You told me the story. And it was a very fun time we were having, and he told me this. He told me the story, and he's like, dude, I basically hopped, skipped, and jumped right to the fucking vault. I was like, oh, what? Do you want it in hundreds? Do you want it in tens? I counted it all out, all happy. And meanwhile, didn't you tell me one of your fucking friends that worked there was like, how? Like, I was pissing myself, and you're sitting there all calm. Like meanwhile, you're just like, fuck it. Take all the money. You want their watch? That guy has a Rolex. You should take that off of him too. He probably has mutual funds hidden away in the fucking back room.
Well, no, none of that's true, but that's I like that's the way you remembered it.
A valuable lesson with a Ben story.
Thanks, Shannon Larkin.
Did this person get caught though? Did they?
Yeah,
find
no,
out?
they did.
Okay.
They did get caught. So when they were trying to leave, he came in and he was totally covered head to toe with a motorcycle helmet and everything. Had his hands covered up. When he left, he couldn't get his motorcycle to start. So he's like out there fucking kicking the thing, and there's like people coming in through the door, and we're like locking the door, like, no, we've been robbed. But yeah, so he ended up leaving and getting away that day, but he ended up getting caught because him and his like friends had been robbing places around where they lived like idiots. It's never the
you got to go a couple towns over.
Yeah. It's never the smart people that rob banks.
So I have a question. Did you have like a secret button you hit?
So there are secret buttons, but they tell you not to hit them until the person leaves.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't want the person to see you hit a secret button and then shoot you.
I guess.
You gotta tell him the story about somebody complaining about your shirt, because that's fucking hilarious. Like, and you wanna know the funny part about the bank? I remember one time Paul comes in angry because he'd seen the movie They Might Get Loud, which is like what, Jack White and fucking The Edge.
That's a story that wouldn't get me in trouble.
Okay, you want to tell that story? Tell that story.
So yeah, I worked at the bank for 13 years as a bank teller, and one day I was watching that, was it They Might Get Loud? That's the name of it?
Yeah. With
The Edge and Jimmy Page and Jack White.
It Might Get Loud, right?
It Might Get Loud. Yeah. There you go. Yep. And, they're all talking about how they're big fat rock stars and how awesome it is. And, I spend all day playing with my pedals and, everybody thinks I'm great. But so at one point he's like, it's really lucky that I have a career in music and I hooked up with these guys. And, who knows what could have happened? I could have been a bank teller. I was like, really, The Edge? That's like the worst thing that you could possibly imagine. Like not like, I could have been,
shoveling shit,
mopping up, a whack-off booth or something like that, or like not, I could be sorting.
Thing that you think of?
I could be sorting garbage at the.
He is a kid of the '80s.
Yeah. I
there
think
were people that actually cleaned up those flufferys.
Yeah, the worst job I can think of is probably mopping up at a whack-off booth.
Siobhán wasn't even alive for those things. She doesn't even know why Pee Wee Herman got
anymore.
arrested.
And if they do in this era of COVID, is that still a thing?
Well, I know that pre-COVID, there is a place that I am aware of, not far from you and I.
Really?
Yeah.
And these
right
people
up
don't
right up in Route 44 in Rainham. There, there's a
God bless them.
There's an adult store, and it's got a little section. At least it did last time I heard. I had a friend who worked there, in fact. Or two friends that worked there, in fact.
Was it a movie called Clerks?
No, but I lived the movie Clerks, basically, because I worked at a video store for 5 years.
So, like, what kind of shit came? What was it? What was a day like? Because here's what people don't understand: if you weren't alive in the '80s and the '90s, like as a full cognizant human being, you don't know what going to Blockbuster was like and trying to get the VHS or the DVDs, or how funny a movie like Clerks is, or to realize that you can't even make Soundwave a goddamn fucking cassette player because it doesn't exist, or Megatron a fucking gun because that's not legal after 1980 with that little fucking orange thing on it. But Paul, you worked at an old school video store. Like, you could back in the day go where they had liquor and fucking penny candies and fucking like the penthouse and then all that shit, and you could get the dollar rental shit. I can only. What did you see, Paul? What was it? Paint a picture.
Thankfully, we did not have an adult section, so that's one thing that I was glad about my particular video store. I didn't have to know that about people, because I can't imagine like knowing people's kinks when they come in. Like, oh, that's that guy.
The back room with the curtain there.
Yeah, the secret door where the guy, you walk around and you take a couple of laps like you're gonna get a regular movie, and then you're like, oh, what's this door over here? Oh,
come out
with
a giant strap on.
Yeah, you come out with like a stack of movies under your arm. Busy night, eh? Yeah, so no, but it was fun. It was an awesome job. Working at the video store was like, I worked at the video store, I worked at the comic book store.
What's that like though? Like what kind of people come into video stores and comic book stores in like the 90s?
Everybody. Well, not comic book stores. Only geeks go to comic book stores. But the best kind of geeks. But everybody went to the Blockbuster. At that time, that was all there was to do. There was no internet. There was either you watch your boring TV, you find something to go do, or you go and rent a movie.
What movie would you recommend? What was your go-to? Like, man, I'm having a boring night. I need a Blockbuster something.
Oh, I don't know. God, anything. I mean, any Quentin Tarantino movie is great on any
What's
occasion.
Your go-to Quentin Tarantino movie?
Well, back then it would have been Pulp Fiction, or maybe Jackie Brown or something like that. But
was Pulp Fiction, did you not like Pulp Fiction after it became cool?
No, I loved it. I love it. It's awesome.
Do you hate how people like now revere, or do you like that Quentin Tarantino is recognized as one of the greatest directors in history?
I love him. I think he's great.
I don't think Paul's a contrarian. Like, I think that he's just opinionated. Like, that's...
No, I'm just trying to get to the bottom
honestly,
of it.
I just honestly like things that people don't like. Yeah, and it's weird, but whatever.
But it doesn't seem like you... It doesn't seem like that you...
I'm not trying to be...
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you don't like them because people like them. It seems like you had like this idea. Like, a lot of it seems like you're in one position and then people shift to a different position, and just the change itself is what turns you off. Yeah. Not necessarily the fact that, oh, now people like that, so I don't like it. It's not a hipster attitude.
Right. No, that doesn't bother me. It's occasionally something like when Ren and Stimpy became huge and everybody does the imitation of something. That annoys me to the point where it kind of frustrates me with the whole thing. But still, like, I never stopped liking Ren and Stimpy or Beavis and Butthead or any number of things that, people imitated until I wanted to rip my head off.
Yeah. The funny part is like there's nobody that realized like I need TP for my bum hole. Like, they don't even get what that means. Like, you know, like if I'm doing that, they just think, like, is there something wrong with you? And like, yeah, but like, do you not catch the reference?
I'm sure most people listening to this would get
Yeah.
we don't have a young demographic.
Yeah.
We're not getting that 18 to 25 demo.
Well, now it's on Pluto TV, which you can get for fucking free, 24 hours a day.
Know what that is.
Like, no, there's like a Beavis and Butthead channel. It's fucking brilliant, dude. Like,
Really?
they're like, hey, let's take a bunch of shows that like only like a bunch of niche people like there's a 24-hour Fear Factor fucking show of just Joe Rogan being like, yeah, eat the spider. And there's like American Ninja Warrior full-time channel, and then there's an Addams Family full-time channel. Like shit that and a Bob Ross painting channel like all the time. So if I want to calm down, I literally watch like 2 hours of Bob Ross. I have learned so much about cleaning my brush.
You should watch endless hours of Bob
You gotta
Ross.
just beat the devil out of it.
Just beat the devil out.
I just like doing it. Sometimes I just like cleaning it.
Yep.
So it's interesting that like content is digested that way now, where you can just go to the Bob Ross channel and you can go to all these different things. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder how discovery is going to work, like in the literal sense of like discovering new things is going to work over the next like few years, because there's so much stuff there.
Well, like this Bob Ross energy drink. Like, how did that happen?
What?
Does it make you go to sleep? What the fuck is
I don't know, man. Like, this is not the.
How did you have
Is
this?
this like a popular energy
Who
drink?
said I need a spokesperson for my energy drink?
Well, it has a bunch of vitamins in, but like, who gets the permission to like get an energy drink? Because the funny part about Bob Ross is that this is actually, it makes sense in some ways, but in other ways not, because he was originally a drill sergeant. So what people don't realize is that really tame, very, very chill, relax, slow
it's a response
guy
to
was a response to basically his PTSD. And he said that when he got out of the military, that he never wanted to yell at people again. And he only had the fro because he was too cheap to do his hair. So he just kept with it. And he gave every single dollar he ever made to animals. To animal sanctuaries, to helping animals. So that dude basically went over to war with some badass, like, get up, motherfucker! I'll fucking kill you! I'll skull fuck you! Gets home, gets PTSD, and he's like,
I don't think Bob Ross said, I'll skull fuck you, but...
Like, I don't know, man. He's a drill sergeant. If he was a good drill sergeant, he'd say, because Jack Nicholson
drill
said
sergeants, they can't swear. They, for the most part, I mean, maybe back in that point, but like, there's a whole thing with...
Dude, they dropped an atom bomb on people. They can fucking swear.
Dude, there's a whole... Yeah.
Fat boy?
Yeah, it's true. They probably swore when they dropped an atom bomb.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, they gave him acid. Do you not remember MK Ultra? The government was literally like, hey, let's just give this random fucking politician acid. And they can't swear, though.
Bro.
Don't swear, but you can fucking see God. We're cool.
Bombs away like your shirt, bro.
Bombs away! Bombs away!
How did we end up in this place?
I don't know, but this is a good time. We get about 10 minutes left to pivot, as we do.
Yep.
Let's
Using
talk
our
about
corporate terminology.
your current projects, Paul. Like, what are you working on now
Lost
musically?
Because that's current.
And if you
Paganini's coming up.
If you could pump Lost Symphony as much as possible in the next 10 minutes, that'd be great.
Subscribe.
Well, there's Lost Symphony. Lost Symphony. No, I'm also Bloodline Theory is my band. Yeah, we have music out that you can get if you look us up.
Tell people what kind of music.
It's it's metal.
Is it like Motley Crue metal?
No, it's more like 90s metal. Like
Nine Inch Nails?
Like eclectic kind of metal. We kind of try to throw in some different stuff and have some, some funky parts and some reggae parts and some, actual like, just a little bit of diversity in our...
I've seen you guys live several times, and what I really like about you is the fact that there is no formula, in the sense that like it's heavy as fuck at times, but then you might go into a reggae section and it doesn't feel necessarily like you're slamming stuff together. It all feels very natural, but you guys have a definite like vibe that it's just almost like your artwork. It just kind of seems like it just kind of flows in whatever direction it seems to take. But you guys are always super tight, super solid.
And one thing I've also noticed that's very, very important. You have full stack amps and bring 2 kick drums. You have
What the hell
lights
is
and
wrong with
backing
you?
stuff. Do you have people that help you carry stuff?
Yes, we do. Spoiler alert. Well,
So important.
We have one guy who I feel bad for because he's as old as I am, and he just loves doing it, and he loves helping out.
Wow.
Chainsaw?
God love him. Yep, chainsaw.
Oh, we love Chainsaw.
Love
He's
Chainsaw.
like, let's just figure out
Cheers,
DMX
man.
512
I mean-
protocol this weekend.
Can't say enough
For
good
fun.
things about that guy. He's
Yep.
the best.
Yep. He
You
is
remember that time when I had a flat tire and I called you to help me and you couldn't help me, but you drove Jason to come help us?
Yep.
Us at that point?
Yep. I was like, why the fuck would you call
Jason's
me?
Chainsaw.
Of all people, like, I am probably the most
You're the
useless
only person I knew at
you could
Taunton at the
call.
time. Now my fiance was from Taunton. I
I'm
didn't
like,
know
you
her.
don't have AAA? Like, who doesn't have AAA? Like, it's like $100 for the
I
whole
didn't
fucking
want
year.
to. No, I have AAA. I just didn't want to wait for it.
What?
Oh my God.
Why do you pay for it? So you're paying for something you don't want to use? That's against your beliefs.
Dude, I went to the buffet right afterwards, okay? That's right down the street on
Cut
44.
that out, Corey. Cut that out, Corey. That didn't come off.
that little
right.
anti-Semitic remark.
That was unintentional
No, you don't know what?
anti-Semitism.
We've been friends for long enough. It's okay. It's okay. You're forgiven.
Oh
You've
my
been
God.
pardoned.
I know you
Cock
don't care.
some ass.
Ben has said
It's
more
not- it's
anti-Semitic
not you.
stuff on this show than anyone else. Don't worry.
I know, right? I know. It's not him I'm worried about offending. I know.
Brian.
I know that's impossible.
Actually, hold on. Didn't we say we were going to talk about that? Can you give so Brian, who's in Lost Symphony, who composed all the
Oh, you're
music?
I like Brian.
That
make
sounds
it
like it
sound
was
like-
said under duress.
You're gonna make it sound like I don't like Brian. I love Brian.
No, but you have stories.
No, well, it's not everybody works well in a room together in a band together. Oh,
That's
Everybody's-
your preface.
everybody's got different, styles of writing.
Almost every time I showed up in Boston to work with Benny, he was in a massive fight with his brother, like to the point where I would be picked up in the car and Brian would be on the Bluetooth, like screaming.
Yeah,
the car.
some people sit around and hang out and, kind of toss ideas around. Some people, jump up and down and scream at the top of their lungs. It all depends on your style of communication.
There was probably 5 or 6 examples of Lost Symphony writing sessions that I happened to sit in on that ended with Brian storming out of the studio and Ben turning to me saying, "Well, am I wrong?"
No, you're not wrong.
my
You're just
favorite
an
thing-
asshole.
No. My favorite thing though, in the entire is not Brian getting angry. It's actually a video of Ollie playing like a solo, but he's sitting there like this. And if you know my brother, he literally will sit there like he's so disinterested that he's not like awake, but he is. He's like holding his head up just for mere gravity's sake. And like, so Ollie's blistering our faces. Corey and I are like, whoa, that's fucking rad. I don't know what song we're working, but it was rad because Ollie was always rad. Like everything, all of his ideas, they might go weird, but Brian's literally sitting there like so disinterested. And like, why do I have to be here to witness this amazing metal as it's happening? So, but I think he probably stormed out later. So like he has a lot of different dynamics to his emotion range.
Yeah, it usually had to do with one of you two like talking about like a piano part, and then it would just burn down to the point like the most insignificant things would turn into this huge explosion. And I think what's funny is I think myself, Paul, and Siobhán are kind of all of the same ilk of like we're just sitting there on our phones like waiting for it to be over. Like you guys do your thing.
Right?
And then your mom,
Yeah.
Anne Marie, sitting there with popcorn and being like, this is great. This is great. Oh, no, Brian, don't you know you're wrong on the... Ben, you have to give it to him on the... But this one, he's clearly wrong. Like, she would take sides, and she's like, she loves it. She like
She
literally
just
like...
loved the entertainment
She's like, this is the
factor. It
running,
is
the
entertaining.
running of
It
the
just-
bulls.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I always said that we could have a reality show in any of the bands that we have been in over the years.
Oh my gosh.
I remember one time, we were in a band called The Evening, and Brian, I don't know if Paul remembers this or not, but he almost threatened to quit the band because he was so upset about this. But Brian was down, and there was a point where he was about to have his first kid, so he was becoming more and more disengaged. And me and Paul just like, fuck kids, we're just gonna make music. Like, what the fuck are you? Like,
Careful how you word that.
yeah. No, I mean, like, fuck the idea of even procreating in a world where COVID, you can't even walk outside and breathe properly. Kids. Like, what do you even say to them? Like, do you tell them what gender they are? Like, I'm so confused. Like, I don't even understand. But back in the day, you like either decided to play in a band or you had a kid. So Brian, like, he's like, I'm thinking probably about having a kid or something. And we're downstairs and we're rocking out. I have an awesome studio. We're all playing. Like, we're fucking having a great time. Paul and I are like rocking out. We're with our guitar player, Pete, who's killing it. Malkin, our bass player. And Brian just gets all mad and frustrated because we're not doing something he says, and he just goes, I could be at home right now watching TV with my wife. And Paul's just like, or you could be in a rock band playing rock music.
I think I just said, well, why don't you?
That's possible too. That's how I confabulate stories.
If that's what you want to do, I'm not gonna. I mean, don't play music on my account.
My mom watches these and she's going to be laughing so hard, and then my brother's going to be throwing shade.
And I feel bad. I love Brian. Don't think I don't like Brian. I love Brian. We just, don't work well in a room making music together. Every time I hang out with Brian I have fun. Brian will agree with that one. In Brian's defense, Brian will agree with that. Brian I agree
doesn't want to be in a room with anybody, including me.
True.
The only reason he even puts up with me is because we both have such personalities where, like, how I talked over and stampeded over you, we both create a black hole. And that black hole could be harnessed for Lost Symphony to actually make music that Jeff Loomis and Marty Friedman somehow think is good. Enough to even play on it. Like, it's crazy, but like we have some sort of ability. But it's crazy.
Friction makes good music. I mean,
ask
there's
Van Halen.
Been a million. Right. Ask Van Halen, ask Aerosmith, ask the Beatles, ask the Police, ask any fucking band under the sun. And there's
the Joe Perry Project.
That, they get along, and, sometimes they don't get along. But sometimes that's the best combination of people, and it, things come out of it that wouldn't have come out of two guys who got along all the time.
Well, that explains a lot about Ben, because if anything describes Ben, it's friction in general.
Yes. Well,
I'm ribbed for your pleasure.
My quote about Ben is that. So, somebody said about somebody else, I don't know who it was, but they said that this person gets the full range of emotions from me. And that's how I feel about Ben. There's not a lot of people that get the full range of emotions from me.
But isn't that why your drums are so good? Because like I tell Cory, like, by take 4 he's pissed. By take 5 he doesn't have enough caffeine. By take 7 one of his in-ears isn't working.
And then I say, by take 8 you turned on the fucking ride microphone. Thank you.
Oh yeah. And by the way, great take. Did you have your subwoofer on in the other room?
Yeah. That was more for Siobhan's beautiful violin parts. Have this in the background.
The other day he was going to record. Dude, the other day I have these open back headphones and I was going to have him record, and then I start like hearing it. I'm like, wait, that's a lot of bleed. I'm like, oh wait, open back headphones. I'm like, probably shouldn't use those to record delicate vocal parts. Not a good idea.
Yeah, we're learning,
Yeah,
like I said,
work in progress.
Just bring it back to what we talked about maybe in the first episode there. Like, if you look at the CD and you buy the record and you listen to it, it's a beautiful record and it sounds like we know what we're doing.
Here.
And the truth is we have no fucking idea what we're doing, and we're just making it up as we go. And
like a lot of people.
Yeah.
LostSymphony.com, Chapter 3, which, by the way, we haven't spoken about it yet, but it's being, it's a tribute, a long time coming to our friend Ollie Herbert, who was so quickly and swiftly taken away from us. And we were working on this project with Ollie Herbert, who, if you guys don't know who he is, he was the guitar player for All That Remains. He was one of the greatest dudes that I ever knew. And certainly one of the greatest musicians. He brought Siobhán and I together, brought her to this project. And like, I can tell you that this was some of the happiest music. He loved working with Cory. He loved Siobhán. He loved my brother, and Ollie in particular had a weird geeky bond where they would like go and talk about Dungeons and Dragons and how not getting laid versus like doing things around that, like the house was cooler. Like they had weird things in common, but this record is for our buddy Ollie. And it features some really amazing people who, by the way, I just got to say thank you to every one of them. We have Angel Vivaldi, who was a great friend of Ollie, like one of his true friends. We have Marty Friedman. We have David Ellefson. So, you know, it's pretty cool to have Marty Friedman and David Ellefson come out for
multiple tracks.
Ollie on multiple tracks.
Yeah.
By the way, just so you know, like David Ellefson agreed to do this record. Like I put out like feelers to both Marty and David being like, yo, I'm trying to put something together for my friend. Like it would be really unbelievable. And David knew Ollie. Marty was unaware of his existence, but I wrote him like a real plea. And Marty wrote me the nicest message. Like, yeah, man, let's do this for your buddy. I think he called him Oli at first, but that's fine. He didn't know him, but Ollie. And he came out and he just served it. But like 2 weeks later, I get a call or an email, I think, from David saying, yeah, man, I'll do it too. I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. And then I realized, wait a minute, those guys, are they cool?
Yeah.
Like, can we put them, like, are they like two ninja fish? You can't put in the same, like, are they okay to like put in this? So I had to like write Marty an email with my tail between my legs because my friend Kelly Walsh, who introduced us, she's a PR maven out in Hollywood. So like, thank you so much for hooking us up with Marty. But I called her, I was like, dude, like, how do I tell Marty, like, the only songs that are open are the ones that I think David's going to play on, or how do I tell, is this going to be cool? She's like, just be honest with him. So I wrote Marty this big, long message saying, please, like, go watch All That Remains. See if you like his playing. See if you vibe to it. Like, just Ollie knowing that you went and watched him if you didn't know who he was, like, I know would make him happy wherever he was. And Marty wrote me this big, long message back, like, not only is my friend David like a brother to me, but my heart is not cold. He said, like, literally said, my heart is not cold. Like, let's do this for Ollie. I love David like a brother. And so David and Marty play together on a giant, it's a whole side to a record, or well, what's going to be pressed as a record, with Marty Friedman, Alex Skolnick. You have Jimmy Bell, like the left-hander that just doesn't quit. Matthew LaPierre, who's unbelievable. Kelly, obviously. Joey Concepcion. It's literally ridiculous. All came out. Jeff Loomis, how, like, literally, how do you forget Richard Shaw? Like, how do you forget Jeff Loomis and Richard Shaw? Like, how ridiculous of a turnout. Like, if Ollie was having a party, right, and those guys all, like, messaged back, like, that would be a slamming party. So I gotta tell you, Chapter 3, if it's any selling point, think about who came out to Ollie's party.
That was a good sell.
And on that note,
did it work? Can you buy some of Paul's art, by the way, so we can eat this week?
Songs.
Like, I think taxes are coming up.
Songs
for sale.
You would have been a great wandering minstrel.
Paul, thank you for hanging out with us. I think this is one of the funnest
fun.
episodes we've had because it's just been, once again, I feel like we're a band in a room for the first time. It's a cool experience. We appreciate everything you've done for Lost Symphony, and I hope everyone that's listening or watching goes to lostsymphony.com and not only listens to the music, but buys most of the things that are available for sale, because that would just be wonderful.
They could go to 2020-d.com and buy shirts that Paul drew pictures of us on.
Yes.
Corey's going to put a beautiful montage of some of his pictures because he wants to help out the drummer, because he knows that Ivanka was right, that he does need a pivot. Because why even be good at the drums when you can play the drums, you can play the guitar, you can play the bass, you can sing, you can take awesome photos. Why do any of that when you can just draw and sell your art?
Yeah, the most important thing is for anyone listening or watching to buy stuff. That's super important.
Remember, more expensive is better.
The more
like,
you
it
buy,
connotates better quality.
the
He
better
uses
you'll
better
feel.
quality paper at $300.
I mean, you could just send us envelopes of cash if that works for you too.
Works too.
Or
Cash-
Bitcoin. I've been told by Jason Leckberg that Bitcoin is the way.
Oh my
and
God.
that, like, it's gone from a $6,000 for a Bitcoin. I didn't know
Point
that.
is, support artists and musicians, anyone in your life that's
specifically
doing something
us.
creative, but specifically us.
Yeah.
But if you happen to know others,
No,
share
Siobhán,
the
she's
love.
killing it already with Starset. Like, she's probably like rolling around like Scrooge McDuck and all of her Mercury silver dimes from pre-1952. Paul knows. He used to take them out and put in one a dime from his pocket. Like, fuck this, that's real silver. I'm going to bury it one day. Paul, did you keep the wheat
I'm gonna
pennies?
shoot a werewolf with it.
Did you keep the wheat pennies?
No, I gave up on the wheat pennies.
Did you keep were you alive at a time where Indian pennies were a regular thing?
Not regular, but they were around. Now you never fucking see them. Never ever.
Wow. That tells you how old he is.
Yeah.
On that fascinating note, you guys have been 2020. Paul, you're the man. Hopefully you'll come back. I think this was a great episode. I think we should do more of these.
Definitely.
And don't forget to like and subscribe and follow and listen to all the other episodes.
There's really, there's really no way to how I can describe that feeling, walking to the stage with Godsmack, because I become invincible, and I'm just way bigger than I really am. I'm 105 pounds soaking wet, But when I'm walking to the stage, I'm fucking Lou Ferrigno or something, and